This video details the process of adding a ZFS over iSCSI share to Proxmox. To do so requires an existing RSF-1 cluster. If you've not already created one, please visit our channel where you'll find videos detailing how to create an RSF-1 cluster using either shared storage or non-shared storage. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for future updates. In this example, the VIP address we're using is 10.0.0.132, and the cluster nodes have the addresses 10.0.0.130 and 131. Also, ensure that all of these steps are performed as the root user. The first step is to enable ZFS over iSCSI on the RSF-1 web app. Go to Settings and then Shares on the left sidebar and enable support for Proxmox including ZFS over iSCSI as shown on screen. Next, you need to configure SSH keyless access from the Proxmox server to the storage cluster in order for Proxmox to issue remote commands, such as when creating ZFS volumes. The process and commands needed will be shown on screen going forwards. They will also be in the description of this video for easy access. You'll also find the link to the High-Availability documentation hub in the description of this video, where you can find more details. To begin, head over to the Proxmox machine and then create a directory to store the keys following the steps on screen. Then, generate a public and private key pair based on the VIP address. Next, you need to distribute the public keys to each cluster node. When prompted, do not use a passphrase. Once you've generated and distributed these keys, you need to disable key host checking for the VIP address by creating or updating the RSF configuration file for SSH, located in the ssh-config directory. This should have an entry for each VIP in the cluster. Finally, to check that everything is running correctly, run the command shown on screen to test access from the Proxmox host to the VIP. Note that when testing the connection, the private SSH key created in the ssh-keygen step previously must be used. The SSH command should log into the cluster node where the VIP resides without prompting for a password. These steps need to be completed for each Proxmox host that requires access to the clustered storage using ZFS over iSCSI. Once this has all been completed, the next step is to create an iSCSI target for Proxmox use. Before creating any iSCSI targets, ensure that the Linux iSCSI command line tool target CLI-FB is installed, as this is required by Proxmox. Next, in the RSF-1 web app, head to Shares, then iSCSI, and then click on Add Target. Select Proxmox Share as the share type, and then select the VIP used in the previous steps to configure Proxmox passwordless access. A description can be added for easy identification, and an IQN will be automatically generated, or you can enter your own if desired. Once you're happy with these options, click Submit to create the target. You'll then be taken to a list of configured targets, so find the target you just created and then click on the arrow on the left-hand side. This will display further information, including the ACLs configured for use. All Proxmox hosts requiring access must have their initiator name added to this section, so follow the steps on screen now on the Proxmox host to get the initiator name. Next, back on the RSF-1 web app, click Add next to ACLs, add the initiator name in the client initiator field, and then click Submit. Once a target has been created in the cluster, with the portal address of the VIP, along with ACLs for all Proxmox nodes requiring access, it can then be added as storage to the Proxmox server. In order to do so, head over to Proxmox, navigate to Data Center, Storage, and then click Add. Select ZFS over iSCSI from the drop-down menu, and then complete the fields with the required information as shown on screen. First, select LIO as the iSCSI provider. The ID should be a descriptive name for the storage. The portal should be the IP address of the VIP associated with the target. The pool should be the name of the pool that is associated to the VIP. The target is the IQN created in the previous steps. And finally, the target portal group will always be TPG1. Once this has been completed and you're happy with all the other options, click Add. The storage will now show up in the Proxmox storage table with the ID you set in the previous section, and it will now be available for VMs or containers using the same ID. Once a VM has been finalized, the corresponding LUN that Proxmox creates will be visible from the RSF-1 web app. You've now added a ZFS over iSCSI share to Proxmox. For further information on this process, please visit the High-Availability Documentation Hub, the link to which will be in the description of this video. Thanks for watching.